Welcome back to the channel. This is The Casuals. I'm Jin.
I'm Saki.
And today's episode is Japan Part 3. And boy, 3 episodes in, we're finally near the end. This will be probably the last video regarding our trip to Japan. Um, and yeah, so where we last left off was at Hirosaki, up in the north area in Aomori. And we stayed there for a day, and the next morning we told what we did, and then we headed off. And so the next place we actually went was, in fact, further up north, all the way in Hokkaido, and the region area was called Hakodate. And that took about an hour, I think, right? It wasn't that far in terms of the Shinkansen, if I remember correctly.
No, it was like an hour, 45 to an hour.
Yeah. And the reason why we went there was because we wanted to go to a very specific place called the Goryu Kaku. And it's a park. That park is particularly known for, one, its unique star-shaped, I guess, structure, architecture, like land, riverway, and two, it's known for its cherry blossom too. And so we went to, Hakodate for that reason. And same thing as pretty much every other place we've been. We check in and we immediately pretty much head off. And I believe one of the thing. Oh, I remember we had to go back and forth to the hotel because we forgot like two things individually or something like that. Do you remember that? Going back, like we came out, we're like, oh wait, I forgot something. We went back, and then came out again, and then I think someone forgot something again, and then we had to go back up.
Oh yeah, you forgot something, so we went back. And then my fiance forgot something, so we walked back. And then as we were there the second time, I'm like, oh, I can just, I think I forgot my jacket, so I was like, oh, I'll just grab my jacket while I'm here. So I was waiting. And then we went downstairs, and then I got outside like, the front door of the hotel, and I was like, yeah, I forgot my jacket. So I just went right back up.
That was a pretty funny sequence of events because when we should have we would have gotten out and gone our way, but I think it ended up taking like 20 minutes total because we kept on forgetting something.
Yeah, I forget what you forgot. You forgot something.
I don't remember what I forgot too. It might have been. Oh no, I think I switched out my socks. That's what it was because I was getting really pissed off with my socks. Remember?
Oh yeah, you switched socks. That's right.
Yeah, it was pissing me off. My socks were rolling up in my shoes. That was extremely annoying. But yeah, but we eventually went off, and one of the very first stops that we made in Hakodate was McDonald's.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have McDonald's.
We literally just went into a McDonald's, and I remember you were like, "I don't like this because it was a lot warmer inside because they were circulating the heat compared to the cool air outside."
Yeah, it was. I was sweating in a McDonald's. That's just not right.
Yeah.
It was ba not loving it.
But I'm dying from heat exhaustion.
I was. I was like, I'm uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Nothing really particularly special. I mean, it was just decent. A lot cheaper, obviously, in Japan. But nothing too special. And then we immediately headed off to take a bus all the way to Goryukaku. And I did not know that in Goryukaku, near the park, there's a tower called same thing, the same name, Goryukaku Tower. And it's like basically like Tokyo Tower or Kyoto Tower, same thing. And you went in there and looked around and got some stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we bought stuff after we went through the park though, because
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to carry it.
Gotcha. I remember I was looking at some stuff. I really, really wanted to buy some stuff. I was like, I know I don't need it. And by that time, I already spent a lot of money. Or in my standards, I spent a lot more money. And I knew I probably wouldn't have enough space, so I had to hold off. But there was some stuff that I kind of wanted. But we ended up going to the Kaku Park. And what was your first impression of the park, if you remember?
I thought it was It was pretty nice. A lot of tourists.
Yeah.
Um, Other than the tourist part, I thought it was nice. There's still some blooming going on. A lot of it was falling
Mhm.
just because it was nearing the end of the season.
Mhm.
But I thought it was quite large.
Mm.
Like it was a pretty big park.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were going out? Like, despite the amount of like large amount of tourists at the beginning, like towards the entrance, when we actually started getting in towards of stuff, there was a lot less people because they were stretched out in such a large area.
Yeah, we were all spread out, so it ended up being pretty nice.
Yeah. I think what was it? The unique part of that park is that like not only is there the ground level, but there's two layers, right? Like two almost like two floors where um there's like a hill that goes up like on all the like the star shape. If you ever look at the map, like if you look at the inner like edges ish, you'll see like kind of like a outline. That's like where the hills are. And so you can go up those hills, they make a pathway for you to walk up. It's not like illegal or anything like that. And there's a lot more trees on top of those hills. And everywhere you go, it's just all scattered, sakura blooms, you know?
Yeah, it was literally everywhere. There's
I,
so many petals on the floor. It was actually kind of crazy, ridiculous how many there were.
yeah. And the really nice part is that there was a lot of places where you could take photos. There was actually a lot of places where pretty places where you take photos. Like in the background photo that you guys see here, um, that's just one. Like that's like just a small part, and that's like barely like the amount compared to the parts that we went to, and we ended up taking a lot of photos that day.
Sure did. I can't remember how many, but I just remember it was a lot.
Yeah. And then I remember because so back at Hirosaki, that Hirosaki Cherry Blossom Festival, they were still pretty. There was a lot of cherry blossom trees and everything, but genuinely did not compare. In my opinion, it did not compare to the Goryokaku in Hakodate because there was something so like, I guess not serene, but that kind of like almost like film-esque moment where you see the cherry blossoms just petals falling down
Hmm.
and you're just looking and you're like, wow, that's really pretty. That's what I thought. I just thought it was really pretty. What about you? Like,
I thought it was like a pretty area. I liked how the petals were falling and stuff.
mm-hmm.
But I want to say because I went into the botanical garden in the Hirosaki.
Mm,
Those trees were a lot like nicer.
I see.
Like they were like not like almost full bloom like all the trees. It was cleaner, I want to say,
Mm,
but it was still nice. Just since I know I saw a different area of the Hirosaki area,
yeah.
past the park, so I think I liked the fullness, I guess, in Hirosaki, but I liked the more of the background, I guess, of the second place. I forget the name, the star-shaped park.
Oh, Goryokaku?
Yeah, that place. So I liked both for different reasons.
Hmm. And I actually did not know it was a park. I thought it was closer to Hirosaki Cherry Blossom Festival where like it was like a mix of like United Pay to go somewhere, and I realized that now Hirosaki is also a park. I'm just being dumb, but seeing children actually like the school kids were actually just playing. Like I think they were middle schoolers. They were just legitimately playing because it's a park.
Yeah,
And it just felt so awful, and I realized like, oh, we're tourists. Of course, we're gonna be like touring, while these guys who live here, it's just another park for them. It's not like it's nothing out of the ordinary.
yeah.
So it was nice to see. So we took a lot of photos. We ended up going back, and we, I think like we went back and then went into our hotels for a short bit, and then we ended up eating at a very specific place I'm trying to remember what it is. It was something crab, wasn't it?
Crab House?
Crab House. That's what it was. So after some like deliberation, we ended up going to like saying like let's try like this place and see what it's like. And it's really weird because this place is sandwiched between like two buildings, and in that place is like many small. Like when I'm talking small, I'm like they could only fit like 6 or 8 people at most per like section.
The crab place was 14.
Was it?
Yeah,
Was it
I
for outside?
counted. No, it was inside.
Inside? Oh, okay.
I counted.
I
I just remember counting. I was like, wow, this place holds 14 people. Surprising.
yeah. So we walked around, and apparently, it's like the nightlife, right? It's like the small little block of like restaurants that are very small, and it was bustling with life. Like there were so many people there. Like literally in every single restaurant, there was just someone there, like constant, like just people there eating and like hanging out, having a fun time, and it was certainly a view. And we finally decided on to go to a restaurant called Crab House. And what did you think about Crab House?
Uh, I thought it was just okay, to be honest. I'm not a huge snow crab person,
Mm-hmm.
so I was just like, just kind of taking the bullet for the team because I didn't really care to go there.
You got the fried rice, right?
Yeah, it was kind of. I guess I could quickly cover this
Mm-hmm.
since we're talking about the food. See, I got the snow crab fried rice,
Mm-hmm.
and then my fiance got this like snow crab hot pot type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what you got really, what I was really puzzled with because you're like, yeah, I really want to try snow crab, and then you ordered chicken, and I was like, why the hell did you come here for chicken when you said you wanted to try snow crab? I was just so confused.
So, I'll be perfectly honest, right? When I sat down and, saw the prices, I was like, after I saw the prices, I was like, do I really want to eat snow crab at this price?
I mean,
Which, is really dumb because it's a one-time thing.
yeah, well, your food choices on a lot of places that trip really had me questioning you.
But yeah, I ended up getting like a chicken dango soup or something like that. I liked it, but it was puzzling. The Saki must have been so confused.
I was confused with a lot of food options you had this whole trip. But, I was. It's like you go to a specialty place to order something and you don't order it. It's like you're going to a pizza joint that's like, I don't know, won so many awards for like being the best pizza around,
Mm-hmm.
and you go for a fucking cheeseburger or something. You're just like, why? After you said, yeah, I really want pizza. Can I get one cheeseburger, please? Yeah, I was just puzzled a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it just happened, to be honest. At the time, I was just like, oh yeah, let's go with that. I didn't really think much of it after that point.
Yeah, we went there because you and my fiance were like, yeah, I want you. Well, she was like, I want crab.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, yeah, I'll be willing to try some crab. And so we're like, okay, let's go get some crab. Ended up not getting crab, and I was like, oh, all right then.
Yeah, I made some strange decisions.
Yep, I agree.
And so, that night was over, we went back into our hotel, and then we rested for the night, and then we ended up going to the morning market right after that, in the morning.
Yeah, that was actually luckily across the street, so we didn't have to travel very far.
Yeah, we were like right next to, it was because it was, our hotel was right next to the station, and And that fish market was literally right next to the station too.
Yeah, just a different direction.
Yeah. So what did you think about that fish market? Because I actually explored a little bit, but then I was like, whatever, and then I kind of just went off my own. Or I went there because I remember I went there before you guys did because I wanted to get pictures of the ocean, and so I tried heading towards the pier, but what had happened was they blocked off all like access to going to the ocean, because I believe that's due to the fact that it's like a fisherman's like port, so normal citizens are not supposed to go near it just to not disrupt anything. So I ended up just going into the morning market. It's called the Hakodate Morning Market, and I was like, "Hey, I'm already here, but I'm gonna head back to the hotel." And then you went out when I was going back in because I was still dealing with my rolled socks at that time.
Yeah, because you went out first, like you were outside the hotel first, and we're like, oh, we'll be there in a couple minutes because we were getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to just go off anyway instead of waiting a couple minutes. And so you just took off, and then by the time we were walking over, you're like, oh yeah, I'm back at the hotel. And I was like, okay. Because you were dealing with your sock thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just explored on our own because you just went on your own first. So I was like, okay, well, we just do it on our own then.
Yeah, and again, I was explaining that I was going towards the pier, and and it was blocked off. So I was
You
like, "Well,
don't.
shit."
Here's the funny thing: you didn't tell us that.
Yeah.
You don't tell us shit in that trip, man. We're just like, where'd you go? You're like, oh, I left. I'm like, well, that would have been good to know. We were waiting out here for you.
Yeah. I was like, let me try getting a quick picture of the pier, and then I went off without telling anyone. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm at the market.
Yeah, I remember it was, I think, Hirosaki. We were back at the hotel, and we saw you go off towards, like, the train station area.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walked over there, and we're like, oh, crap, we lost you.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just waiting outside where you walked in
Mm-hmm.
for, like, a good 20 minutes. And then I'm like, yo, dude, where are you? Like, we're waiting for you out here. You went to the hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks. We're out here in the cold waiting for you, and you didn't even tell us.
Yeah. The reason why I went inside was because I had to take a dump really bad, so I went in first.
Wow, that's a very different story from what you told me.
Was it? I remember it being I remember it being some reason like I just needed to do something and I went inside. I thought it was a dump when I was recalling it.
Something was in your eye.
Oh, it was in. Oh, okay. Then it wasn't a dump. Yeah, something was in my eye then. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now that I remember, yeah, something did get caught in my eye. So I went inside the hotel first, without telling you, and then only when you messaged me, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were outside, no jackets. It was like 9 p.m. in the north part of Japan. It gets cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I ended up doing a lot of things that you shouldn't do when you're traveling with other people specifically.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
agree.
Other than that, we finished up that morning market, and then we ended up going heading towards Tokyo, and that was probably a 4-hour trip. It wasn't that long, if I remember.
It was like 4 or 5 because we had to take a train for an hour back.
Right. We had to take because we didn't get off at Tokyo. We got off like before Tokyo or something like that.
Yeah, I forget what the name of the stop was, but yeah, we had to stop before, and then we had to take another train. I can't remember the name for the life of me.
I can't either, to be honest. And so our final leg of the trip was in Ikebukuro, in Tokyo, and Ikebukuro is like one of those cities that like kind of surround Tokyo, and it's like a chain of like Ikebukuro, Shibuya, what was that other famous city name? I'm forgetting off the top of my head. It's
Juku?
Shinjuku. Yeah, yeah. It was Shinjuku. Like it was one of like those three are like the most famous places, but Ikebukuro was the place that we went to, and we checked into a hotel, and I think we pretty much immediately left again, like every other time, to eat food again, and we ate at a place not too far away. Um, we ate at what was it called again? Omurice place, right?
Yeah, it was an omurice place.
And I believe you at that point in time never had omurice before.
Correct. And I honestly, not to be mean, but I don't know if that was omurice. Because the way the egg was like made, it wasn't, like cut open or anything. I saw them like doing it, like twirling it, like the tornado style.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's considered omurice. I think that's a different dish.
Mm,
Because usually it's like a little cup of the fried rice, and then the egg like thing that's cut open, and it like spills all over. Uh, Mine was just spilled all over already. I don't know if that technically counted. Not a connoisseur, but I thought it had to be like cut open in front of you.
I think it's hard to say because by technicality it is by all counts omurice because omurice is simply just omelet. Well,
It's not even an omelet either,
yeah, yeah, it's basically egg on rice essentially. And so by all technicality, it's just it does count. But in terms of the one that is shown through media and is usually the one recommended is the one that you were expecting where it's put on a shaped rice and then you fold a omelet over and then you cut it open, that you cut open the egg and then it splays out.
mm-hmm.
That is like the omurice that people would reasonably expect because that is like the one that's shown a lot.
It's like what tradition? Not traditional, but like most popular, I guess, version.
Yes, I think that's the best way of saying it.
Yeah, so we ate omurice. That was pretty good. And then they gave us coupons.
Oh yeah, they gave us coupons. Did you end up going back there? I don't remember if you. I don't think you did, right?
No, I didn't go back.
I didn't. Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe we should, because we were joking how about like if the moment we step out, we just step back in.
Order another one, use the coupon.
They'd be so confused.
Would we get another coupon?
I don't know. I wonder.
That'd be pretty funny if we did. Just infinite coupon glitch.
Damn. Who knows? Maybe we could have, but our stomachs would have exploded by that time.
Yeah. Our stomachs did shrink a lot over there.
Yeah.
Or at least mine.
And so after that, what did we do that day specifically? I think we just kind of.
You took off again.
Yeah, but this time I actually told you.
Yeah, because I had to ask you before you took off.
I had to go to a particular department chain called Loft, and it was to buy something for someone. And so I ended up telling, I was like, hey, I was gonna go, and then we finally took off, and then you went shopping with your fiance, I believe.
Yeah, we ended up at some mall nearby.
It was the Sunshine Mall, wasn't it?
Probably. That sounds about right.
Yeah. So I got lost in the department store 3 times before I even got to the place that I was supposed to get, and I finally was able to buy it. And then I think I literally just went back inside the hotel. I was like, I'm so tired from this because getting lost in that department store was hectic. And you did something else if I remember correctly, because you came in a lot later.
Yeah, we just kept shopping around because you turned in pretty early every night.
Yep.
You were in by like 9, and I was like, that's pretty early, but okay. So we just kept shopping, walking around. I think after we ended up near the omurice place again, and I think we literally ate ramen nearby
Mm.
at like 11.
11 a.m. meal or 11 p.m. meal.
Yep. I was like, I'm hungry. We walked for like a couple miles. This place is open. And then I think we just went back to the hotel after we ate again.
Hmm. And then we ended up, and the next morning, we got together again, and then that was the day where we met up with Janice, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that
That
was
was
the,
the next
yeah,
day.
yeah, that was the next day. So we ended up meeting with up in Janice, and I believe Shibuya,
Yeah. The
and
station, yeah.
yeah, I didn't even realize that the famous crossing, that famous crossing that
Yeah, we crossed through it like 2 or 3 times.
yeah, and when we first went, I was like, "Oh, this was the place." I didn't realize it was so close to the station because I went there before, but it wasn't the route that I took before, so I was so unfamiliar with it. And then until we actually got to that place, I was like, "Oh, this is the crossing." But yeah, that was just a little side note. And then I think in Shibuya, that's where you saw what was that chocolate place?
Uh, oh, like one of the last few standing Lindor chocolate
Lindor
places.
chocolate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
I was
ended
like,
up spotting that, yeah?
yeah, it was across the street, and I was like, oh man, I gotta go there. Never went there. Didn't make it.
At the time, I had no idea Lindor chocolate only had very few stores. I was just like, oh, okay, because I remember you brought a couple Lindor chocolates before, and I didn't think much of it. So when you pointed out there was a Lindor chocolate store, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Little did I know until we actually came back from the trip that was like one of the very few remaining stores, as you said.
Yeah, there's only a handful left, which is surprising.
In the world, not even just in Japan, it's just in the world.
Yeah, in the world. So we used to have a lot in the U.S. and they're gone.
Yeah. And so, after that point where we walk around Shibuya a little bit, we came back and then we finally met up with Janice. And then, we ended up splitting after that point because it was just going to be a short, meeting, and then we ended up splitting. And so you went off to multiple different cities, I believe, right?
Yep. I think Shinjuku. One other place, Shibuya. I forget. We were all over the place. I don't even remember all the places.
Yeah, that must have been a tiring day for you.
It wasn't that bad. It was just there's so many people
Hmm.
that I
Tourists?
literally had to like locals.
Oh.
I had to like shove my way through everyone because it was so packed and everyone just likes to stop in their tracks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be walking behind someone, but it's like bumper to bumper traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just stop moving, so you like run into them, and they look at you like, "Why the hell did you run into me?" I'm like, "Well, why the hell did you stop?" Yeah, it was a lot of that.
Yeah. And meanwhile, me and Janice, we went to Akiba and we just looked for weeb shit. That's all we did. And so we ended up getting back late. I believe did you come back late that day?
Yeah, we got back at like 10 something.
Yeah, I believe we came back. Me and Janice came back late after you guys. I remember now because
11. You weren't that much later, but
yeah, because I remember you're like, "Oh, do you want a photo?" And you're like, "We're back at the hotel," and I was just like, "Oh, we're also going back to the hotel."
yeah, because I thought he would have left from the station.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, probably not because we're not there anymore.
Yeah. But we ended up taking a couple photos in a really tight space, might I add. Because the hotel room was like really small.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting photo.
But we ended up taking photos, and then he ended up going off, and then finally the next day comes around and it's finally time to go, and it took a while. But no, it didn't take a while. It only took like 1 hour to get to the airport, right? From the bus.
Yeah, it took like an hour.
Yeah. And from there, it was pretty much, check in, do all that stuff, go in, explore a little bit more, go shopping. And then pretty much go home. I mean, that, and plus, we bought like a couple extra stuff at the airport, just because you're at the airport. It's like the final leg of that trip.
Yeah. And you want to just, you have like a teeny bit of money left, but not enough to exchange back, so you're just like buying whatever you want.
Yeah, you're just like, do I really want to go to the trouble of exchanging this? Nah, fuck it, just spend it all.
Yeah, pretty much. I had like 5,000 left, and I'm like, I don't want to exchange it. Let's just purchase whatever we can with it.
Yeah, so we both ended up doing that. And then we ended up going home. It was a 9-hour flight, very short flight, because the wind was blowing towards the direction where we were going home. And I think it's always like that, right?
Yeah, usually.
So it was a very quick flight. We went back to LA directly. No San Francisco, thank God.
Yeah, that would have been hell.
And no real issue. Just got home, got picked up, and then we, went on our way. And so that was pretty much the Japan trip overall. Spanned over 3 episodes. I guess
That's the Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes.
There was way more we just didn't cover.
It'd be too long. So yeah, that was the Cliff Notes. What were your overall thoughts of Japan, despite us constantly moving from place to place, and not you being able to fully take in, each place's experience? What was your overall thoughts of Japan?
I liked it. I think if I did go back, I would probably choose to stay in like 1 or 2 areas and not, like 6 or 7 that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only thing I would change. Just so, because yeah, a lot of at least the first night in Osaka, we literally spent only a few hours there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'd like to like look around there, maybe look around Kyoto a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I enjoyed it. It was a fun trip. Glad I went. No regrets.
That's good.
How would you?
I think definitely it wasn't necessarily the trip itself that, going to Japan is fun. And, I really did enjoy it. But I think, what was more important was it was just a learning experience again. Because at the end of the day, I always consider myself, to be fairly honest, I consider myself an idiot.
Okay.
And, genuinely, I always consider myself an idiot. Whenever someone tries to say, oh, you're smart or something, I'm like, no, you have no idea how much of a dumbass I am, right? I am truly a dumbass, right? And it was only proven further by this trip because of the amount of dumbass decisions I decided to make without even, and it wasn't even, malicious or anything. It was just something I did without even realizing the consequences of my actions. And, it was a lot of little things that I didn't realize over time until it blew up in my face. That I finally learned my lesson. But I'm glad, again, this trip happened because I learned a lot from it on, just genuine common sense that needed to be put into me again. Some of them were just, genuinely, I just forgot, or, it slipped my mind. It's not I meant it. But, again, I really did have fun. I got to do a lot of things. I got to see a lot of things that I didn't get to before previously. Yeah, I really did I had a hell of a time too, despite, the little all the troubles that I caused. I was like a fucking, if we had to describe it, it was like Saki and his fiance were like the parents, and I was like that little fucking kid that, goes around causing destruction everywhere, essentially. That's what it was like, probably. And so, yeah, I think it was a good learning experience, and I, had it. That's what I took away the most, to be honest. Not to, how do you say this? Not to diminish or, kind of bad, or not say Japan wasn't enjoyable or not, or it was still enjoyable. It was great. I loved it. Would do it again. But yeah, that was more of a learning experience for me, more than anything. So yeah, lesson learned. Won't do it again. If there is a next time, I don't know if there will be. Who knows what the future holds. And yeah, any last statements you want to say in regards to, this series?
If you visit a place and you want to relax, stay in one or two spots. But if you like to see a bunch of things, do what we did.
It'd be like a marathon, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as for me, don't be dumb like me. That's all I can say. But for now, we'll end the episode, or I guess this was our Japan trip. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to the stories that we told, even though it was basically a Cliff Notes version, as Saki said before. There was so much more that we could have talked about. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about it more in the future. I don't know. It would have to. It just, if it comes around, it comes around. If it not, oh well. That's it's just something part of life. And yeah. Thank you for listening to these straight episodes about our experience in Japan. Hope you enjoyed. So I'm gonna close it off here. So I'm Jin.
And I'm Saki.
And this is The Casuals, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.